Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and I have a passion for empowering others to take responsibility for their careers. Yes, I've written several books on owning your career and am loving hosting this podcast. This podcast is for you if you're willing to make a shift to the driver's seat in your career. We feature leaders who inspire, empower, and motivate you for consistent career action for results. Please continue to join us every Sunday when a new episode is released. Let's get into this week's show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I am absolutely delighted to welcome to the show today the fabulous one and only Pegine. I am such a fan. I follow her work on social media. I know she's doing amazing things in the world. She's a leadership expert, an award-winning businesswoman, author, best-selling author, and just excited to have her hear more about her journey on the show. Pegine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for being here with me. Gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm so grateful, Simone, that you're talking about career and the ability to be in your driver's seat of your career. There are so many opportunities and choices and decisions that you and your listeners can make to really take control of their career. So I'm ready to have this conversation.
All right, I'm ready too. I'm excited. So when did you know that you were in the driver's seat? Take us to that moment where you discovered the driver's seat in your career.
Well, I will say this, that I've had multiple careers in my life, many careers, which I'm thrilled about. And in those many moments of career, I found many moments where I had to take control of my own career. So the first one was an easy one when I left the United States to go live in Spain, and I was 17 and a half, and I thought I could get a job. I went on interviews for jobs. I had been a nursery school teacher in the States, and I thought I could find an easy job. Of course, it didn't help that I didn't speak Spanish very well, but I didn't get a job. And so I had to take control of my career because I had to pay my bills. And so creativity, infused with the energy of I'm not leaving, I'm going to do this, enabled me to, in a moment, pitch an idea to a director of a nursery school to say, I want to open the first bilingual nursery school in Spain. And I'm not here for a job for her. I'm looking for people that will invest in it. And serendipity played a role where I got investment through somebody that she had just met that wanted to invest in a nursery school. And so that was a career move of saying, I'm never going to give up on, I'm not going to leave Spain. I'm going to do this. That tenacity of determination has definitely played a role in all aspects of my career. So when I left Spain and came back home, and I was a receptionist for a large menswear fashion house, I was determined for two things. I was determined to become a salesperson. I wanted to be a really great salesperson in this company. And two is I was one day going to be CEO of my own company. Both of those things occurred because I was exposed to people who the salespeople were always investing in like inspiring themselves and motivational messages and things like that. So I was reading the same books. The tenacity for me at that point, a career decision I made at that point as a receptionist was I chose to find the best salesperson in the company who tended to come in about 7 o'clock in the morning, every single morning to practice his pitch of the fashion items, right? And so I asked Tony if I could come in and help him. And he was like, as long as you don't disturb me, I'm good. So I would come in at 7 o'clock in the morning. I only had to be there at 9, right, to start work. But I was there at 7, and through watching him and then him trusting me to lay out the fashion, to lay out the items, enabled him to give me tips and techniques. And eventually one day he was in a terrible car accident, and he had told the president that I was ready. I was the only one that knew his pitch. I was the only one that knew what he was doing, because I had been spending months practicing with him. And that was my first sales position. I eventually became national sales manager for that company and sold worldwide for them. So the decision of tenacity and taking charge of where do I want to go and what do I want to do and can I do today? Not what I can do tomorrow, but what can I do today to take me to that next step, is one way that I've said, one tip that I know for myself: tenacity and persistence, and have the dream.
Where does that come from? Because at 17 and a half years old, to have the tenacity, the perseverance, the creativity to come up with an idea that people can't say no to. What is the origin source of that?
Oh, that was really simple. I came from, break out the violin. I had the challenge upbringing. My sister was basically she was the local prostitute and local junkie and died of a heroin addiction. I chose to become part of Girls Gang. My mom was a school teacher and worked in the Board of Education. I lived two lives. I was gang member and a Girl Scout. I was both
I'm a Girl Scout mom.
Right. So I was a gang member and I was a Girl Scout. I was in a special prevention program of Girl Scouts to change our lives. And so I had a fantastic role model of my mom, of tenacity, to have kicked out my dad and changed her life and become, a very, very powerful woman in the New York City Board of Education. But for me, I was not going to be like my sister. I was going to figure out a way to be somebody. It was a driving force. And the reason I ended up in Spain was at 17, I was in front of a candy store and I had the bandana on my head. I had my long hair. I had this jean jacket on. I was talking like this all the time. And I truly, but in my mind, I was saying, there's got to be more than this. I am more than this. And I truly had a vision of me being like on a TV sharing my truth. And it's so funny, I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea that it was like this experience that I'm having with you right now. I had no concept of that. I just knew that I was being told in that moment, get out of there, leave, trust me, just go for it. And my family is Puerto Rican. My mom didn't want us to speak Spanish in the house because she had suffered so much, but my grandmother spoke Spanish in the house and I really wanted to learn Spanish, which is why I said, I'm going to leave the United States. I thought the gang would follow me. I was a nobody. They were never going to follow me. They were such losers. They were definitely losers. So I just picked Spain and I went by myself. And that's how I ended up there.
So talk to us about risk, because that is a big decision to move to a different country. You talked about the impetus or why you did that. Talk to us about risk as you think about the body of your career. How have you looked at risk, and how has having an appetite for risk fueled your career?
Great question. So I've been in corporate, I've been a non-for-profit, I've been a senior leader in corporate, I've been an executive director in not-for-profit. So that people that are listening have a scope of, I've been somewhere where you're at. And what I know about risk is this. Risk is the belief in yourself to be who you're choosing to be today. And that means that you have the confidence and the wherewithal within that survive. This is what I know for true about risk, especially when it comes to careers. You will not die by saying what you need to say, raising your hand from and asking for the opportunity. You're not going to die from it. Trust me. You might be scared stiff of it, but you're not going to die from it. The second part about risk is that it's an investment in yourself. So if you think about R-I-S-K, if you think about R is your resolve to be who you choose to be. Your resolve to be true to yourself. I is the investment in yourself, that you're investing in who you dream of being, and you're going to take any action because investing in yourself is so important. S is for security. Security is that no matter what you, and this is the only security that you have, you will do what you need to do to live the life that you want to live. It is not anybody else that gives you security. Some people have a false premise that the paycheck that you're receiving on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, is security. No, because if you do not produce, you will not have that check. If you are not a person worthy of being around, you won't get more money. Security is all within you. It is all you. So you need to know, stop putting security as outside of you, but being within you. And then the K is to know yourself, to know that you know what works, trusting yourself, knowing that if you are called to go into someone's office or sitting at a meeting and you have an idea, you know that that idea is a good idea because you had it. Every single idea that you have, somebody else has had it. The difference is we all have been there. When we had an idea, we know we should share it, then somebody else should share your idea, and like, oh my gosh, that was my idea. No, he got the idea, you got the idea, she got the idea, but that one person said the idea. So you have to know yourself, that anything you're receiving, any insight and wisdom that whether it's a download, whether it's something that you read and said, this would be great for our organization, my team, myself, you are the one that needs to know yourself, your courage. I call it being feisty, being fearless, being focused, and having fun. Know yourself. So that's what risk means to me.
Powerful. I love the 4 F's as well. Love that. Listeners, I'm taking notes. I hope you are too, but we'll be sure to put it in the show notes as well. Risk, a different way to frame it to move forward in our careers. Now, speaking of careers, Pegine, what about your formula? What are the key ingredients to be successful in your career? In other words, what is the formula for owning your career?
Ooh, so I teach a whole program about communicating your value. It's what I learned for myself and what I require of my staff to do and what I educate others to do. You have to know how to communicate your value. And if it's okay with you, can I share what those are?
Absolutely. Everybody's listening. Get a notepad, listeners. The knowledge is coming.
So if you take on your paper or wherever you are and you write vertically, VALUE. So you write the word value going down your page. The first part of value is your V. What do you visibly do? A lot of times we never communicate what we visibly do. You do it so normally that you don't even notice it. For instance, if you're in a company or an organization, you happen to answer emails, people go, I ask them, do you answer emails? Like, oh my gosh, I get 100 of them a day. Well, think about that. That's 100 emails a day that you in some shape or form respond to, recognize, read, delete. And so 100 times 365 days, that's a huge number, right? What is that? 300,000 some odd. That is a visible number that most people don't communicate to anybody. You never say to your boss at your annual review, which you should, hey boss, let me let you know that this year I responded to 3,265 emails from senior management. Instead of saying, I work really hard. Which one has more value? The one with the number or just saying I work hard? So that's the first part is, are you counting what you visibly do? So from answering phone calls, responding to emails, going to conferences, managing proposals, anything that you do, use a little tick mark, just write 111 every time you're doing that, because unless you can give a number, some people just won't value all that you do. A stands for attitude. What is the attitude that you bring to the organization? And a lot of times people don't communicate that. So there are a bunch of different attitudes. Yes, happy and positive and enthusiastic, all of those things. But how about those people who are the people that somebody might call a devil's advocate, one that's looking for the holes in situations? That is a value. Anybody that's sharing, hey, that might not work, is not doing it to bring down the company. They're doing it because they saw something in the past that maybe needs a tweak. So if they could say, hey, I'm a devil's advocate, I'm always going to come to the meeting saying what might not work, because I want the team to think about solutions that we may not be thinking. That's an attitude that you bring, or that you say, my attitude is I want to uplift everyone. It is what I bring to the company and organization. And this is how I do it. When I go in the morning, I make sure I look at everybody to make sure they are feeling valued. People don't communicate that attitude. And you have to, because that's part of the value that you bring into the organization. L stands for leverage. Who do you know well enough that will help you out? Not only that, so let's say you've been really nice to the computer tech guy. Now, your department, you're having a computer issue. Who in your department can call up the computer tech guy and be put first rather than have to wait in line for 22? Who would know it? Simone is the one that knows, because she's always nice to Charlie. Charlie always appreciates that she brings him a muffin. And you could call Charlie, hey, Charlie, I really need help. And Charlie will come and save the day. But that's leverage. Do you ever communicate that you know those people? Do you ever communicate to people who you know that will help you? This is critically important. U is for user resources. How do you use the resources provided to you by your company and organization to grow? Do you ever write a thank you note to your boss for sending you to that convention where you happen to meet somebody that made a difference? Did you ever write a note to the president of the organization? Thank you so much for investing in childcare. It releases me from such worry and change. We all expect the benefits, but we never write the gratitude that we have those benefits. We act as though it is our God-given right to have that benefit, but it's not, because there are a lot of companies that don't have those benefits. There's a lot of people, places, situations, and organizations that don't have that. So what's the user resources? And then the last one is E, which is what you address here, Simone, which is evolve. Who are you today, and who do you choose to be in 6 months or a year? How are you taking control of your career, your mindset, your work? So who you are today, you're choosing to evolve. And when you talk about being in the driver's seat, it is up to you to communicate where you want to go, because whoever you're speaking to about communicating your value, they know the opportunities that you might not know of, but you're perfect for. And that's what you do. You communicate your value.
Wow. I have to say that is one of the best formulas for owning your career, and lots of acronyms. This feels like a MasterClass audience. Oftentimes we listen to the story, but there's a lot of packed value in here that we can definitely act on. So Pegine, building onto that, or actually let me detour for a moment. Thinking about your body of career work, if you had to come up with a title for it, what would it be?
Authentic, diverse, and bilingual. And I'm going to tell you, if I can, I want to expand on that, right? So diverse is, I've always been willing to try things that I didn't know how to do. So I didn't know anything about motors or boats, but I was willing to try to be a salesperson for that. And I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot. I learned how to sell to men really well. And that's been critical in my career. So I've been a diverse and eclectic career person. I've tried a lot of different things, from nursery schools to boats to menswear sales to selling to the military. I've done a lot. The next thing that I would say is, so bilingual, and those of you that speak other languages or are trilingual, I really want you to understand the power of that and how important it is. And if any company or organization is asking you to translate anything, but it's not in your job description, even though it says in anything else, you need to ask for additional money, because they're asking you to translate instead of hiring a translator. Mm. And so you need to bring that up if you're choosing, and don't be chicken about it. Just say, hey, you're coming in to ask. I tell even young kids who are working at McDonald's, and maybe they speak a second language. That person that customer that comes in and is trying to figure out what to order, but doesn't speak the language, English in that point, that young kid who says, "Ay, quieres papas y hamburguesa," that the sense of relief, oh yes, that guy will come back all the time. That's a customer gain because you're bilingual. And I bet you didn't even tell anybody that you did that. Mm. You kind of seeing a theme here, right? You got to tell people what you've done. You got to tell people what you're doing. You got to share that truth, because as you all know, nobody can read your mind. You all have friends on Facebook. If I told you, close your laptop and tell me what the top 5 friends that you have done in the last 2 days, all of you couldn't tell me, because we're so busy focused on ourselves that we're not focused on everybody. And why do commercials run over and over and over again? Because we forget you are your own promoter. You are your own commercial. You are your own determinator. You are your own decision maker. And whoops, I changed my thing. And that's what I would say. I got so excited that I hit my laptop, which is why you all heard the whoops.
That's okay.
And then, and I completely forgot what I said with the I, but the I would be, for me, is definitely inclusivity. This is a huge world with tons of different people. If your network looks like you, thinks like you, and talks like you, you're isolating yourself. Mm. Your role in this world is to appreciate the diversity and the beauty of all that said. That's why we love taking walks and seeing the flowers and receiving a bouquet of different flowers and scents. It's why we love shopping for different clothes. We love wearing different items. But we have to love the people we surround ourselves with and expand our network. So if I can ask you to write 10 people down, and you don't have people from other countries, people with different backgrounds and experiences, different genders, different lifestyles, you are not in the driver's seat. Mm. You have allowed society to decide who you're worthy to hang out with. And you're worthy of the bouquet of life and people. But you're in the driver's seat that has to do that.
I just got the title of your episode. I wrote this down: Diversify Your Network. I like to have titles that inspire the audience around the interviews. And that's a powerful one to remind people to diversify their network, because that's an important part of your career. Diversify your success squad, the team that's helping you to succeed in your career.
For sure. I purposely go out, for instance, and try to meet and talk to people under the age of 35, right? I purposely, so I'll go and offer to go and speak to the Rotaract, which is the under 40 group of Rotary, because those are up and coming leaders. There are people that just have a different experience than I do, and I want to learn from them. The same goes through, when we were talking earlier, when I was taking care of my mom and going to the senior citizen center. So, I learned a lot about not only career and life by going into that. One is, you better be nice to the people around you. Because if you are self-centered, mean, and arrogant, nobody will come visit you when you're in the nursing home.
Mm.
Nobody will want to take care of you. Nobody will want to, and it's very humbling when you're much older to see how you need people to take care of you.
Mm.
And only people that have taken care of one of their elders intimately really recognize how humbling it is for that, and how vulnerable you become when you're older. And so it's up to you to invest the time in building love for your network, for the people that are around you, love of just, and really immersing your mind, heart, and soul to being a person that is lovable.
Mm. That's powerful. And I like that you said you don't really know unless you're in it, where you get to see the vulnerability and actually think about things that you might not want to think about getting older. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that you say build love. I think oftentimes we don't think about that, Pegine.
Well, we don't, and we think that we're, in career, and I'll say this, in career, a lot of times what happens is we think we build this persona, especially if you've been in corporate. You build this persona that you're supposed to be serious and tough and have a, just like create this sense of armor around you.
Mm.
And yet I've worked with a lot of C-suite leaders. And one of the things and I'm talking C-suite in multinationals, we're talking global corporations, Fortune 500 corporations. But one of the things that's really, really fascinating is the higher up individuals go, the more the really good ones have invested a lot of times, where I talk about risk, right? We're really investing in themselves. They've invested a lot with they're falling in love with themselves, and not from an ego place, but finding who they are, discovering who they are, taking the time out of who they are. And it's worth saying that at the highest levels, that those that have invested in their own self-awareness and their own sense of truth actually love their people at the highest levels. In the media, we see a lot of messages and a lot of media reflections of who a C-suite person is.
Mm.
But most of them, are loving on their people. And those of us who are women, really do bring in that love for their people. And Mary Bauer from GM loves her people, loves them. The PepsiCo leader she loved, Indira, I forget her last name, Nuya, loved Indira. Her people. Yeah, love what they did, love what they did, loved listening, loved hearing, loved being quiet and thoughtful. We're not afraid to protect their people or protect what's going, but not from most, we're not doing it to protect from somebody to get, it's protection out of love. It's, and I think that's really important. How do you love your team? How do you take care of them? How do you listen to them? How do you protect them? Probably getting off point here, Simone, but
you've given us a lot to reflect on. I do have a final question as we begin to wrap up the episode. Pegine, is mindset. I know you do a lot of mindset work, and I think that is an important part of being in the driver's seat, really having your mind right. Can you talk to us about some of the Think and Grow Rich? I know that you're a follower of the Think and Grow Rich work, but what do you recommend to our audience to really get their mind right to be in the driver's seat for their careers?
So I have on my board, I'm looking over it as I'm saying, it is so because I think it is so. That's what I live by. It's so because I think it is so. So what that means is oftentimes we tell ourselves and we believe messages that others have given us and even ourselves have given us that, and we've just accepted it without really thinking through, is this what I believe? Is this my truth? Is this what I know I'm about? And repetition is so critically important. So like on my board, I know that my values are freedom, choice, bliss, flow, trust, enthusiasm, energy, celebration, attraction, magnetizing, manifesting, mindfulness, faith, structure, discipline, and I manifest everything I want. I allow and delegate, and I am wired for success. So I truly invest time. So this is my morning. This is what I do. All right. I spend 10 minutes every morning writing my gratitudes. What am I grateful for today? What am I receiving? I spend 30 minutes reading my declaration for myself of what I choose to be, choose to have, and all of that is, a lot of that was taught in Think and Grow Rich, but it's in every single business program. It's in every single course. Visualize what you want and where you want to go, but you have to say it out loud with enthusiasm. So I have on Facebook, I have Pegines practice sessions, a private Facebook group. I am the only member of it. And I go live every day in my private group to share out loud, boldly with enthusiasm, my declaration for my life. I spend 30 minutes doing that. I spend 30 minutes, that included in that 30 minutes is my saying it out loud. It's also writing the visual of what it is. I spend then another 10 minutes doing something called the self-confidence formula, which is the investment in myself of not only this is what I choose to have, but also the investment in myself of saying the mantras that I know that I need to believe in myself and have faith in myself to take it to the next level. So for instance, so I do that, right? So it's, I'm confident I'm going to close the deals that I want to have. I'm confident that I'm the exact right person for the job. I'm confident that I own the stage, own my business, own my way. I'm confident that I am clear that I can create opportunities for me that are just blossoming at every stage of the way. So I fill myself in my soul and heart. I also have something called 17 seconds. And as we all have had, and I have, sometimes we have just bad days. We feel miserable. We feel awful. And we don't know, we're so in that stuck in that mindset that we couldn't think of a positive thought if it was right in front of we couldn't access a positive thought if we tried. So I have written in my book, 17, this is my personal book that I've written for myself. I don't sell this book. This is my book for me. So I have messages, 17-second messages. You're right, if I can. Is it all right if I share this with you for a second?
Go ahead.
So I have in my book, so this is my book that I write for myself. So if you see, I have a tab that says 17 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So the 17 seconds is the thoughts that I want to think, because when I'm in a pissy, angry, horrible mood, I can't think of them. So these is an example. I have timed these out to be 17 seconds because in 17 seconds, I can flip my emotional state. So 17 seconds are, I'm amazing, I'm fabulous, I'm a superstar, I'm a major force to be respected. Now, let me tell you, when I start this is not how I say it. I start it like this. I'm amazing, I'm fabulous, I'm a superstar, I'm a major force to be respected. All right, I am a star. I light up people's lives. I light up the stage. I'm a force in the world. All right, I'm booked. Or I'll say, you know, like nothing, maybe I'm in a mood and nothing is working out and everything feels lousy. I don't know about all of your listeners, but that's how I feel sometimes. And so here's the 17 seconds I created. I'm on a roll. I easily rev up my mojo. I'm a warrior, champion, a winner. Remember, I don't start that way. I go, I love what I do. I open my mind. I have the passion. I am passionate. I listen within. My source tells me I am amazing. I am focused. I am determined. I am a success no matter what. No matter what I do, I work my plan. I work my plan. So that's a 17-second statement that when I read it, because I can't think it at that moment, I'm too angry, annoying, pissy. This wakes me up. So you're doing 30 minutes, you're doing 10 minutes, and you're doing 17 seconds. At least that's what I do.
Wonderful resources that you've shared with our audience. What a masterclass this has been. Pegine, I want to say thank you for all the knowledge and wisdom that you have imparted to our listeners. Listeners, take lots of notes. And please tell us, how can the listeners stay connected with you if they'd like to do so?
Oh my gosh, you definitely want to go to powerwomenworldwide.com, and we have going up, it should be up now or should be soon, is something called Step Into Your Power. It's a free course, 5 classes. That's the best way. Sign up for that, because then you'll be connected with me. You can look anywhere at Pegine. Just Google it. You'll see me all over the place. On LinkedIn, Pegine, just type it in. I'm there. On Facebook, Pegine, type it in, Pegine. You'll find me on Twitter, Pegine. On Twitter, do Pegine Power. And definitely, I am there. I would love to see everybody and connect with them, because that's the way we do business. Connect.
Awesome. Well, Pegine, thank you so much for being a guest on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much. This has been great.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this week's empowering career story on the podcast. If you did, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Wherever you listen to the podcast, be sure that you are subscribing and that you rate and review the podcast. It's so important as we continue to spread the word of career empowerment. In addition, you can head over to the LinkedIn platform and join the Power of Owning Your Career discussion group. There you can have access to the guests who have been on the podcast, as well as others listening to the podcast, as well as myself, where we can continue the conversation. I hope to see you on that platform. You can also email me at pooyc@simonemorris.com if you have a suggestion for guest or a message that you want me to hear personally. Thanks so much, and make it an inspiring, empowering week in your career.